Welcome back. I hope you are feeling refreshed and are ready to continue with the lesson. In this part of the lesson, we are looking at adaptation strategies, namely looking at three, and those are mimicry, camouflage, and migration. So here we are basically looking at adaptation strategies in animals. Okay, so as environmental conditions change, species have to adapt to survive. Some of them change into new species. Variations in a population means that despite being the same species, there are differences in the characteristics between each individual. This is a result of adaptation. Okay, these strategies include mimicry, camouflage, and migration. First adaptation strategy that we will be looking at is mimicry. So if you think of the word mimic, it is similar to imitating someone or something. So mimicry occurs when a harmless animal takes on the characteristics of a dangerous animal to scare off predators. So here we see how a harmless animal basically imitates or mimics a dangerous animal to save themselves from being hunted or being preyed on. Okay, this happens when harmless animals cannot defend themselves against predators. Thus, they have changed their appearance to that of a dangerous animal, which scares off the predators. An example is an owl butterfly. So owl butterflies have eye spots on their wings. If you look at this picture, this is an owl butterfly, and there you see the owl spots and the eyes of an owl. So whatever animal that preys on butterflies will be scared away from these butterflies because they resemble the image of an owl. Okay, so here on the right are owl butterflies mimicking owl eyes to protect themselves from predators. These eye spots resemble owl eyes or eyes of many predators that hunt by sight. Okay, second adaptation strategy that we are going to look at is camouflage. Okay, camouflage means the ability to blend in with the surroundings. Here we have a picture of a tiger and a buck. If you look at the buck, you see that the color is close or similar to that of the grass in the background. And then if you look at the tiger, you will see, or you should know, that a tiger has stripes. So it is said that when a tiger is in the wild, the grass, actually the stripes of the tiger will blend in with the grass. So that is how camouflage happens with these two animals. And we know that it's usually, okay, a tiger is a carnivore. It will usually prey on animals like bucks. So they also need to hide. So that is why they are more or less the same color as the grass in the background. And tigers are also hiding from the animals that they prey on so that they do not see them and so that they are able to attack them. Both predators and prey camouflage themselves, just like I have discussed. And then we are also going to look at the twig mantis on a yellow flower. If you just look at this picture, you will see that this mantis does not even look like an insect, but rather looks like a twig on a flower. So here we are looking at stick and leaf insects. These insects look like leaves or sticks to avoid predators. This is still called camouflage because they are also blending in with their environment. You are most likely to find sticks or twigs amongst flowers. They feed on plant materials at night and move very slowly to avoid being seen. Female stick insects can reproduce without mating. Here's an example of a stick insect that also blends in with the tree environment. If you take a quick look at it, you would actually think that is a leaf that is attached to the tree bark or the branch of the tree. So if we look at the body, it is structured to resemble the leaf or a stick. Also there you see how it is attached to the branch of the tree. It is nocturnal. This is related to how it is adapted behaviorally, as it feeds under cover of darkness, and then it also moves very slowly, not to attract predators. So predators could also think that it is the wind that is blowing the leaves, since this insect blends in with the tree. Now we move on to looking at migration. Migration refers to an instance of moving to live in another place for a while. Therefore, migration occurs when an animal or group of animals move between different areas at different times or periods. It is important also to take note of how when here in South Africa, in the Southern Hemisphere, when we go into autumn and we are about to move into winter, you see a lot of birds moving in groups. And that is usually birds looking for warmer areas that they can live in while we are experiencing winter in the Southern Hemisphere. So we also know that when we experience winter in the Southern Hemisphere, these birds that migrate are most likely to move to the Northern Hemisphere. And the same also applies for aquatic animals. When it becomes colder in the Southern Hemisphere, they move north, and when it becomes cold in the Northern Hemisphere, that is when they will move south again. But that is also dependent on the habitat and how they are structurally adapted to live in the different kinds of environments. Migration is also a behavioral adaptation. So here we have an example of animals known as the wildebeest that are migrating in the Masai Mara. Okay, they migrate long distances each year, which coincides with the pattern of rainfall and grass growth. So it's not just for weather, it's also for food purposes. So we know in winter it's usually dry, it does not rain, it's cold, and usually then you don't really have crops that are growing or that can be harvested in winter. And that is the reason why these animals will move to an area where they can also have food and where they also have favorable conditions. Okay, reasons for the wildebeest migrating: they find where the grass is growing and where they will be able to have water sources. And lastly, we are going to look at adaptations in plants. Here we have several local plants which are also adapted to the environment, no matter how harsh the conditions are. Okay, an example of plants that adapt to the environment. An example of a plant that survives in the harsh conditions of the desert is the gazania plant that we can see in the diagram or in the picture alongside here. It has gray hairy leaves to reflect sunlight. The hair reduces water loss by trapping in moisture to cool the plant. The yellow flowers attract insects for pollination. And then we also have water lilies. These are plants that grow in water and have the following adaptations. Okay, as you can see there, those are water lilies. Have more breathing pores on the top side of the leaves as compared to the underside. We know that these are found on water. Water lilies have beautiful flowers as well as to attract insects for pollination. And we also know that if the leaves do not have pores underneath the leaves, that will help with preventing water loss in the leaves. And then they also provide a site for pollination of insects. That is it from our lesson today. I hope that you learned a lot and that you have enjoyed the lesson on adaptations. Goodbye.